Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be live on the air too long from now. I'm still setting up. Oh, yeah, we got a lot to cover. Perfect. There we go. My first sip of coffee for the day. Let's see. Welcome, everyone. I hate autocorrect, too. This week has flown by, no doubt about it. This is nuts. Now, those of you that watch on the green screen background here, just so you know, this is one of two feeds that I have going in the mornings. On this one, you can hear me and the callers, no problem. But you can't hear the sound bites I play or see the videos I share. You have to look on the other feed for that. But you can hear the callers fine, me fine. That's right. MAGA for life. That's right. Oh, yeah. This cracks me up, this one here. The other video I will start right before I go live on the air. The other stream. Welcome, New Zealand. Yeah, this weekend I'll be back. I'll be getting back on my normal schedule. My first week back, I had a lot going on this week. So my podcast will be back. I'll have a new podcast episode today. No, that's full caffeine. This is usually my second cup by now, and it's my first. So I have a new podcast episode today. And I'll be streaming throughout the weekend. And the next week, I'll be back on my normal schedule that I'm usually on before I went away. I just had to take a break a little bit from YouTube this week just to catch up on work. But I'm all caught up. Pretty much, almost. Never really caught up. The kittens are doing okay. They're getting around better this morning. Just going over some articles. We'll be live in about 4 minutes. Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola. That's right. Those are the kittens. They're walking around this morning, so I haven't seen them play, but they're walking around. One, two, test, test. Test, test, 1, 2. One, two, three, test, test. Okay. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be live in 3 minutes. I will be starting that next week. Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk, and we got a lot to cover today. President Trump made a major move this week for the next presidential election, and I want to talk about that because it was absolutely amazing what he did. Got some other things I want to start with, but of course, today is Friday. We call it Open Phones, Open MAGA Mic Friday. And on Open MAGA Mic Friday, you could call in about any and everything on your mind. You're not limited to the topics that I bring up. But I am going to bring some stuff up in the beginning before I go to the calls. If you're on hold already, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. I'm going to start, and we'll be live in about 30 seconds. I'm going to start with what really is the dumbest thing that's out there right now. I mean, it's just beyond dumb, this talking point, and it's comical. So my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Stand by. 15 seconds. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. All right, we got so much to cover on the program, and I want, it's so weird. I'm going through the news this morning, and the liberals' latest talking point, it's just so stupid. that I want to talk about this just for a few minutes here in the beginning. Now, all of a sudden, all of the liberals are obsessed about the bond market. They're experts in it. This country's dumping bonds, so they say. Other countries are dumping bonds, you know. And everyone's talking about the bond market. Here's the big secret. That story is completely BS. No one understands the bond market. The only time bonds ever come up is grandma and grandpa buy them for the kids usually, the grandkids, and they get filed away somewhere and forgotten about, hopefully, for 30 years. And then, you got some money. But now all of a sudden there's this liberal obsession over bonds and the bond market. I even heard Charlie Kirk get into it, which I'll share, which was very strange. And, the left have nothing but talking points, right? It was egg prices for a while. Now it's this. And the big secret about the bond market is no one knows anything about it. I don't know anything about the bond market, nothing. A lot of these other things like import-export tariffs, taxes, and stuff like that, we all have a general understanding of that, and the stock market a little bit. But bonds, nobody understands this, and nobody knows. And watching the manufacturing of a fake news talking point happen live was my experience this week on this. So a couple days ago, when the tariff trade wars began and the stock market started going down, and then it started coming back, I'm watching Fox News, and they had one of their financial guys on. I don't know his name. I'm not even going to bother to look him up. He's not one of the famous ones. And they go to him for some analysis on what's going on with the trade wars. And he just blurts out, well, I'm talking to top guys here in New York in the bonds market, and they're telling me that Japan's dumping bonds. And these are serious bond guys, and they say Japan's dumping bonds. And I've never heard anyone even mention bonds in years and years and years, and maybe never in such a situation. And then they finish this bond obsession segment with this financial guy, and then Fox goes to their girl White House correspondent, the blonde, I don't know her name. You know what I'm talking about? And she's talking about bonds and Japan dumping bonds. In the very next segment. And then after that, everyone's obsessing over bonds. It is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Jessica Tarlock, she brought up bonds on the 5. She got smacked down pretty hard by Jesse Waters. He says, you don't even know what a bond is. What are you talking about? You're just regurgitating. And I'm a big fan of Charlie Kirk, but even Charlie Kirk got on board on this. I saw a clip of Charlie, excuse me, guys. My coffee went down the wrong way right before the show, and I thought I would be able to get through the break before I choked on it. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Charlie Kirk even got involved in this. I saw a clip of him on X talking about bonds. And he says, well, if you look, you could see that there's a lot of buying being done on 10-year bonds, which shows that there's a confidence in the future of the American economy. And I think, Charlie Kirk, come on. You're better than this. Why would you do this? I mean, it sounded like right out of a talking point, right out of a textbook. Right, a copy and paste off of Wikipedia kind of comment Charlie Kirk even made about bonds. Excuse me, guys. So, it's so bizarre in the second term of Trump how the never Trumpers are going from one talking point to the next. They do it in unison. Their talking points are 1,000% vacuous. They're meaningless. They don't know what they're talking about. But the bond one really cracks me up because no one knows anything about bonds. So people are talking about bonds. Hold on, I got to try to get this clear throat here. My apologies, guys. Because I've cut back on my coffee so much. Usually by this time I'm on my second cup of coffee and any mishaps with swallowing are taken care of by now. It's going to be one of those days. Now, of course, today is open phones. It's Friday already, Open Mega Mike Friday. And on Open Mega Mike Friday, you can call in about any and everything on your mind. You're not limited to the topics that we bring up. So you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind on Open Mega Mike Friday. Although I do have a couple of things in this first segment I'm going to bring up. Our number, and then after the break, I'll go to the phones. Our number is 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. So this bond obsession is one. Another one is this. Okay, there's a story today that Cybertruck sales have tanked. Well, of course they have, but the media and the left, oh look, Tesla's failing. People aren't buying Cybertrucks. Well, who would buy a Cybertruck today, right? If you buy, you got your brand new truck, base model's $100,000. You park it at the grocery store. You park it at the mall. You come back and it's covered in graffiti and swastikas from liberals, right? And that's if you're lucky, right? You go to the dealer to pick it up, you might get firebombed or shot at, right? Or you're driving down the highway and you might get surrounded by liberals and harassed with your family in your car. I mean, of course the sales are down. It's not a statement on Elon. We have these Tesla terrorists running around. Now, yesterday, Pam Bondi said there's going to be a major Tesla terrorist arrest today. Of course sales are down of Tesla. In particular, the Cybertrucks. You're taking your life in your hands driving one of those things around. In fact, I bet a lot of people that own them aren't driving them right now because they're afraid. And I noticed in my neighborhood, there's a lot of Cybertrucks, but I haven't seen that many on the road this week. I've been looking for them, but I've noticed I'm not seeing them as often. So I'm imagining a lot of people are afraid to drive them right now for all the reasons stated. Bizarre. This is another beginning of some false talking point. Oh, well, look, Tesla sales are down. People are turning on Elon. In fact, people want to buy Teslas like they've never wanted to buy them before. And not just for the tax credit. A lot of people that are MAGA want to buy Teslas to support Elon Musk and all the sacrifices and all the good work that he's doing, right? But I hope that these liberals can get some better talking points, because the ones that they're operating with right now are just so weak, so weak. It really blows my mind. So listen, we got a lot to cover today. President Trump made an incredibly huge move in regards to the presidential election, if you can believe it, the next presidential election this week. And people really haven't picked up on it. I want to cover that and a whole bunch more. But I want to take a moment to talk about Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser wave pain treatment. Listen, it's Friday. Right? If you're in pain, stop suffering. Go see Dr. Appleton today. If you're too busy today, go see him tomorrow on Saturday. Remember, walk-ins are welcome and appointments are never necessary with Dr. Appleton. His laser treatment works. Arthritis, bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries, strains and sprains, repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling, neck injuries, back injuries, tinnitus, knee conditions, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, rotary tears, herniated discs, acute pain, chronic pain. Very incomplete list. If you're in pain, stop suffering. Dr. Appleton's laser wave pain treatment works. He's rid me of pain 7 times. There's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. It's 100% painless, and of course, it works. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome, everyone. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. Welcome, everyone. We'll be back in about a minute. No, I don't want anybody calling in explaining what bonds are. No, but it's all just BS. That's the main point. All right, stand by. 20 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Our number one, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, boy. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Dr. Ken Schwartz, Jupiter.
All right, Dr. Ken, what's up?
Hey, I just wanted to make a comment about President Trump and the tariffs. I do want to first say that I give Jessica Tarloff a lot of credit. She's got guts to even go on the side, because Greg Gutfeld and Jesse and Judge Janine, they beat her up nightly. So give her credit. And give Fox credit for bringing on other Democrats. Juan Williams, Leslie Marshall, these are regulars. You would never see conservatives on the mainstream media. So hats off to Fox.
No, I'm not interested in hearing what liberals have to say, but okay.
But I give Fox credit. I get it. No, I understand. I'm the same way. But anyhow, listen, on the campaign trail, Trump talked about tariffs. It should come of no surprise that they occurred. I don't know if people weren't listening. And he talked about it with a wry smile, very confident. And in the interim, Howard Lubnick and Scott Besson, they talk very calmly about them. They're comfortable. They're calm. They know what they're doing. And, Trump came in and reversed the border overnight, because that's an overnight thing. But the economy and anything to do with our huge deficit, that takes time. And as far as the stock market, I mean, I trained myself, I don't remember, years ago. You don't look at the stock market on a day-to-day basis anyhow. But there's going to be a downside to a business deal, especially of this magnitude.
Yeah.
Initially, people should recognize that. What's your take?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said about the market. All right, appreciate the call. Here's the thing. I want to comment on what he said about the liberals on Fox. Don't give any of these people credit, like Jessica Tarloff. They're paid a lot of money to be there, okay? So they're not doing it out of toughness. They're doing it because they're very much overpaid. I have less than zero interest in what these liberals have to say on Fox, including Juan Williams and Jessica Tarloff. I have less than zero interest. They contribute nothing. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Jeff from Maine.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, President Trump's tariffs are not to hurt any country, and he's made that clear. What he's doing is leveling the playing field and putting America first, which is going to make other people pay their fair share. It is not about hurting other countries. In fact, it's going to make everything better. And the Democrats, all they can do is promulgate lie after lie and try to slow down his America First agenda. Most countries, almost all of them, have come overboard already, lowered their tariffs. China's holding out to their hurt. It's going to hurt their economy more than America, and they're going to come around. The longer they put it off, is the longer it's going to hurt China's economy. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What he's doing is he's resetting the economic world and putting us back in the lead. I mean,
That's right.
That call with that Dr. Ken, he mentioned Jessica Tarloff. Jessica Tarloff said on the 5, we don't want manufacturing jobs in this country. What is she talking about?
Can you imagine someone saying that? I can't believe she said that.
I know. I mean, maybe she doesn't want them, but where did she get something like that?
From the Democrat talking points.
That's right. Of course we want manufacturing jobs, and they have this obsession. This is one of their new talking points. Are Americans going to want to stand 9 or 10 hours a day working in a factory? They're doing that already at Walmart and at Costco and at Target. Americans stand and work all day long. I'm standing now, right?
And I believe bringing all these jobs back is going to bring so much more money back into the American economy, and all the money that's going overseas is going to drop, which is going to affect the Democrats, because I believe the Democrats for decades have been having the kickbacks, getting the money that's being sent overseas for jobs and manufacturing, and that's going to go away because, like you said, we're putting America first. And President Trump even said, I don't blame other countries for putting their countries first, but they're not going to do it at our expense anymore.
Exactly. All right, Jeff, take care. Good to hear from you. Jeff's call is always pretty good. Our number 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It is Open Mega Mike Friday. Any and everything on your mind's fair game on Friday's show. I'm a little tariffed out myself. I think pretty much everything that's could be said has been said 20 million times this week about the tariffs, don't you? But I mean, it is open phones. We had another cabinet meeting live on television yesterday. Did you guys watch that? That is absolutely amazing. This has never happened before. Okay, now this is the second time Trump did the third cabinet meeting, but it's the second time that the whole thing's been shown live. First time it wasn't exactly that way. That's unheard of. Okay, we've never seen anything like this before. And I don't think there's enough appreciation for it because the media hate Trump, so they don't want to highlight, even though they carry it, they don't want to highlight the historical significance. Usually what happens, if you see a cabinet meeting at all, you see everybody seated at the table for a photo op. Sometimes there's video of it, and that's it. And the press are kicked out, and they have their meeting. I never knew really what they did in these meetings. And these cabinet meetings, now that we've seen 2 full ones in their entirety live, I believe that this is the first time that's ever happened in history with President Trump. Right? And it's amazing. Each member of the cabinet, he goes one by one. They report on what they've done, what they're doing, and what they're going to do. And they're very, very specific. Robert Kennedy dropped a big one yesterday, right, with the autism. Pam Bondi talked about a big Tesla terrorist arrest. Marco Rubio talked about the student visas. It went right down the line. And it took 3 hours, however long it went. And then he takes questions, President Trump, from the press after that. We've never seen anything like it. It is transparency, but it also shows you how much is getting done. And I know not everybody can watch these live. It's best to watch them live if you can, not through the filter of what the media want you to see. It's really amazing, these live cabinet meetings. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. Mocha.
Yep. Go ahead.
I just had here a couple weeks ago. Why don't we take those 87 IRS agents and do a huge doge over every city in America and clean all of them up?
Well, they're kind of doing that. I mean, you can't,
more
the
so
federal,
like a huge doge,
the federal government can't go through the local money. That's their own money, right? The cities, states, counties, that's their own budgeting. They can only go through the federal funding, but they're cut right now. One of the things they're doing um, with the unemployment, one of the labor secretary, I'm going to play the audio later, went through all these fraudulent payments done through unemployment. That's done at the local level. They're about to cut a whole bunch of funding to sanctuary cities around the country.
Sure,
So things like that are being done, but you can't go through the local cities in every county in the country. The government's not that big. They're trying to reduce the size.
It was just an idea.
It's not a bad idea. They're stealing money at every level, but we got to focus on the federal government.
I follow you. You have a good day.
All right,
Happy
you
Friday.
too. All right, yeah. I mean, they're ripping you off everywhere. I mean, the whole government's corrupt. I mean, the local government's just as corrupt as the federal government, but we got to focus in on the federal government first. All right, now we're coming up on the bottom of the hour. When we get back, there's a lot more to cover. And as I say, it is Open Mega Mike Friday, open phones, any and everything on your mind is fair game on Friday show. 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. We'll be right back. right, stand by. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. I had thought that I had retweeted the Jessica Charloff thing for the fight. I didn't, so I wanted to play that. But I'll just tell you, when she talked about the bonds, and she says, we don't want manufacturing jobs in this country. In the olden days, the unions, those were hard jobs to get, right? These manufacturing jobs are very unionized in factories. And to get a job like that, you were almost like born into it. Your daddy and your granddaddy had that job. And those are jobs that historically paid very good middle class incomes. And in the 50s and 60s, when there was this massive growth of suburbia and everything, it wasn't just a bunch of guys in gray flannel suits like the movies would want you to think. It was people that worked in the manufacturing industry. And those jobs paid well enough for a dad to support his wife and kids and buy a house and have a new car. Right? And those jobs were sold to, well, not just China, but the world by our corrupt government. That's it. And what we're going through right now is such a correction of not just the world, but the American economy, and the what Tucker calls them, the permanent Washington class. That's a good descriptor. These elitist, and it's not just the left; it's the Republican establishment too. The permanent Washington class, they want you to be poor. They don't want you to be middle class. They don't want you to be successful. They don't want you to be a homeowner. They want you to be a renter, dependent. They don't want you to have these things. They want you working at Walmart, not a high-paying manufacturing job. And Trump's fixing all of that. All right, let's go to the phones. Our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Am I on the air?
For now, yes.
Hello. Okay, yeah. I'm calling from one of the Kansas cities in Metro Kansas City. There's 5 Kansas cities, but not to give a geography lesson, I live in northeast Kansas City.
Oh.
In 1992, the number of Hispanic people, and Hispanic people are good people.
Oh.
Kansas City, Kansas has had them since the American Civil War. But there was only probably in northeast Kansas City, you could have filled up the school bus with the ones who were living here. 1992 comes and they start coming here, lots of them. And then now it's go down the main drag of northeast Kansas City. It looks like Guadalajara.
Really? What's Guadalajara look like?
I've been to Guadalajara.
Yeah, so what's it look like?
It looks different.
Looks like Kansas City. Okay, yeah, it looks different. Okay.
Anyhow, is there any way the federal government can cut off to undocumented people? We'll call them that.
Well, how do you know they're undocumented? Hold on a second. Are you a member of ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement?
No.
Well, how do you know they're undocumented?
Well, no, they're not undocumented.
Oh.
Many of them aren't.
Oh, okay.
Many of them are from Kansas City, Kansas overflow.
Okay.
And their ancestors have been here since the American Civil War.
Okay. So I don't understand what you're suggesting. You have a bigotry towards non-white Hispanics? I mean, what are you suggesting?
Well, I'm actually Latin myself. I'm Italian. And that's usually what you had here in northeast Kansas City.
Okay, so what are you Italians? Yes. So the natives of Kansas City. So what are you suggesting?
Well, is there any way that people who are undocumented to cut off the WIC money?
Well, that's what Trump's doing. That's what Doge is doing. They're cutting off the illegals from receiving benefits. But that doesn't sound like what you're obsessed with. It sounds to me like you just don't like being around so many Hispanic people.
No, actually, they're good people, and they
they're good people.
rebuilt.
Yes.
The Northeast was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
After the fall of.
All right. I would thank you for your call, but if I did that, I'd be lying. What a strange man. What is he saying? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I'd like to address Jessica Tarlaw, and I also would like to address the famous lawyer that calls you that you see, you're a very understanding person, but Jessica and that stupid lawyer that calls, and I call him a stupid lawyer.
Am I talking about Greg too?
He's got his nose up. He's got his nose up in the air.
Greg.
Jessica.
I forgot he was. Well, let's talk about Jessica, then we'll talk about Greg.
Well, no, but they're the same. They're snooty. They think if you don't go to, they think that manufacturing jobs, bus driver jobs, plumbers, they're subpar jobs because people that are in those, they didn't go to college.
Yeah.
So you went to college, but you're smart enough to understand that. But they think they're better than everybody else. There's a class thing in this country.
Well, Jessica, Jessica. The dumbest people I've known in my life have advanced college degrees.
College.
Okay,
Thank
and
you very much.
and that's true. I'm sorry to say. Okay, but Jessica Tarloff. Here's the thing with Jessica Tarloff. She just didn't go to college. She went to a special college. She went to the she went to the London School of Economics. I've heard her mention that at least once. The London School of Economics. Now, to me, that sounds like a CIA facility, right? I mean, why would an American girl be going to the London School of Economics? That sounds very strange to me. Very strange. Yeah. I don't trust anyone who goes to schools like that. Anyone who goes to schools like that sounds deep state to me. And I heard her mention that early on when she joined the Five, and that was, red flags. She doesn't work. She's not an economist or anything. She just spreads liberal propaganda.
Exactly right. And like I said, and I'm really frustrated about this. First of all, I'm going to say something. I know Greg is going to call you, and I hope he does. I've never heard an attorney. I wouldn't hire him as an attorney because he gets unhinged on the radio. This guy has no cool whatsoever. I mean, the guy goes into a ramble and he goes nuts. And I say to myself, is this really a lawyer? And if he is a lawyer and he went to college, God bless him, he tried to better himself.
Yeah.
But don't look down on the rest of the world because you went to college and you're an attorney. Because attorneys are a dime a dozen. They don't have yellow pages anymore.
If the EMP strike happened, the lawyers and the college grads are going to be in big trouble. You know what I mean?
There's no question
You look at these fancy college kids. I mean, do you see Ben Shapiro changing a tire on a car? Think you could do it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I don't see Greg too either.
No.
And these people don't know how to work with their hands. They think that they're so intelligent, the rest of the world's stupid.
Yeah.
And Greg has got that problem. He looks down on the world. That's a lot of attorneys feel that way.
Well, I'll say this about Greg. I'll say this about Greg too. Greg too was banned. He called in a couple days ago. I let him on. Then I let him on a second time, and I don't think he could. I'm reconsidering lifting the ban, and it's not because he's a liberal that gives me a hard time. That call, his first call or two, I let him go a little bit because he'd been off the air for a long time. He had a lot to get off his chest. That call yesterday was so counterproductive and ugly. I mean, it's just nasty, and he contributes nothing. He says nothing, and I don't know if we should be taking his calls.
I wouldn't. I personally, I would take it. I enjoy his calls, believe it or not, because I like when you get into it with him and you expose him. I mean, he gets exposed almost every phone call.
Now we'll see.
He gets delirious on the phone. It's amazing to me how delirious he gets.
He gets hysterical.
And let me tell you about the economy real fast. Those manufacturing jobs, okay? People need those jobs. If President Trump wasn't doing what he's doing now, if he just let it go like Biden did, no tariffs, no nothing, just the status quo. This country's doomed for being broke. Everybody goes down. So he's got to do what he's got to do to save this country. And the propaganda coming on the other side, okay? All you hear is the earth is coming to, you're falling off the edge of the earth. The earth is coming to
That's
an
right.
end.
Yeah, but Japan's selling bonds. They're selling bonds in Japan. All right, Richie, appreciate the call. And I'm not saying that I'm banning him again. I think he needs to. I think Greg needs to up the quality of his calls. Is all I'm suggesting. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Gordon. I'm from Washington. Hello.
Yeah, Gordon.
Hey, I wanted to talk about Jessica Tarloff.
All right. Yeah.
I think I know how she got her job.
Yeah. Well, I'm not interested. Okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air.
Oh, hi, Greg. My name's Angel. I'm from Boynton Beach, Florida.
Angel in Boynton Beach. What's up, Angel?
Yeah. You know what? The subject a little bit earlier, I remember my father taking me down to Pier 57 in New York, where all the boats came in, where all the people, from Italy, from Poland, stuff like that. There was a lot of people on that boat. And every one of those people that was on that boat was waving an American flag.
Yeah.
Every one of them. And as far as that lady with the factory, there was nothing wrong with the factory work, because that's what helped build this country, was all the factories that are no longer here.
Yeah. That's right.
And my dad, my mom, they worked in factories just to give me an education. And they succeeded because they gave me a good education. And anybody that says anything against factories or anything, they're a bunch of fools.
Well,
Okay?
what's happening is these leftists, like Jessica Tarloff. What's going on is that President Trump is leading the end of globalism, and these leftists are all globalist, and they see their globalist world collapsing, so they're in a panic.
Wow, what a shame! It's a real shame. Well, I hope they bring the factories back, because not everybody has an education, and they need those jobs.
Well, what do you really, except in certain specialties, what do you really learn in college these days? How to hate Jews? How to hate America? How to hate white people? What are they really teaching in college?
Exactly. Well, I was fortunate enough to go to college early in my life.
Yeah. Well, before the leftists did what they did.
Yeah. Anyway, Greg, thank you so much for your time answering the phone. And this is my second year listening to your show, and it's my first time calling, but it took me a little while to get through, but finally I got through. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I really appreciate your show.
Well, welcome. Good to hear from you. Thanks so much. All right. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back. Stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Open Mag and Mike Friday started off pretty good from some pretty good callers for the most part. Our number 1-888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Brian. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, perfect. Brian, I just wanted to say something about yesterday and everything that I'm hearing. Especially this lawyer, I don't know his name. I think his name is Greg.
Yes.
Too. That they defend like this China instead of United States, and all of these very liberals, or in the college or in the universities, that they are for China. I'm telling you, they're all influenced by CCP. Enough is enough. And this is my freedom of speech. Honestly, I really hope Democrats, they move to this European communist of China, because that's how they talk. Here, there is Communist Party here. They talk exactly as they do here.
Yeah.
This is not normal.
No, you're correct.
CCP.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only country in the world that welcomes in our enemies to come here and try to destroy our country from within. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And to say we don't need manufacturing or industries, I mean, this is nuts. It's like a Chinese person talking here. Mm-hmm. For me, they all have this CCP languages. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
For me, they are spies.
Yeah.
They're all, I don't call the Democratic Party Democrat Party. I call them the CCP.
The CCP? Yeah.
It's exactly the same language. They are CCP party.
Mm-hmm. All right, good points. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with everything you said there, and actually that's in the news today, which I'll get to in a little bit, maybe. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Melissa in Tennessee.
Melissa in Tennessee. What's up?
Well, I was just wanting to know what your opinion is on how Kash Patel is doing now that he has promoted this Steve Jensen that has, he was one of the main ones that went after the January 6ers, and now Kash Patel has promoted him from what I'm hearing on the Blaze, and I'm just kind of disappointed, and I was wanting to know what your thoughts are.
Well, I don't know about that story. I did see it. I don't know how it happened or what's going on with that, but if you can't trust Kash Patel, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
And I see no reason not to trust Kash Patel. Of course. Well, Trump trusts him. He made him FBI director. You trust Trump, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do, but I'm just really worried. I mean, he should.
Why?
I thought they were going to clean it out, and now they're promoting one of the main ones.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Just because somebody was in a position like that, they weren't running the FBI. I don't know. Kash Patel knows what he's doing. If you can't trust Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi, and Trump, you might as well just go to sleep and watch cartoons all day, because you can trust no one.
Yeah.
You can't quit. You gotta put your trust in someone. Trust.
I know. I just want them to clean it out, though. I think that they're very corrupt up there, and
well, they are. Look at all these people in the federal government they're getting rid of.
Yeah, true. Well, I was just wanting to know what you thought about it,
I don't know too much about that story. Now, why? Why would you be worried?
Well, I just think they need to do some more firing up there instead of promoting the people.
I don't know. I have you seen them do something that is against what we want them to do?
Well, the Steve Jensen, right there. That's what I'm calling.
Because there's an article in the Never Trumper Blaze about it. No, never trust.
Dan Bongino has, they're doing the research and wanted to make sure that he was
Dan
promoted, and
Bongino.
they said,
Dan Bongino is the number 2 guy at the FBI. He's the deputy director, the number 2. So, you know, if you can't trust Dan Bongino to handle January 6th and everything else, who can you trust?
Yeah.
All right, take care. Think about that. You know, a lot of people want to, there's a lot of people, I talk about this a lot over the last few years. There's a lot of former liberals in the MAGA movement, which is great, okay? But they have their old liberal victim ways sometimes, okay? And a lot of people, I don't know anything about this guy. I saw this story. I haven't looked into it. But there's no one who's been on top of January 6th more than Dan Bongino the last 4 years. And he's the number 2 guy at the FBI. So this guy getting this job, getting this promotion, I promise you Dan Bongino was involved in that decision with Kash Patel, okay? So if you can't trust those 2 guys, it's all over. And I see no reason not to trust them. So stop being like a liberal. You got to trust in Trump, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and the cabinet. I mean, that's the way it is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, this is Sam.
Yes?
I'm from Florida.
Sam in Florida. What's on your mind, Sam? Okay. Oh, my goodness. Remember, I was telling Steve yesterday that the liberals are losing their minds, and that's an example of it. Oh, I want to say this, that Friendly Tire in Margate. Oh, man. I've been buying tires at Friendly Tire in Margate for probably close to 20 years now. They have, Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire has thousands of used tires in stock, but he has such great prices on new tires. And he has all the name brands you know and love. I'm a Firestone guy, but whatever you're into, Bridgestone, Pirelli. One of my cars has run flats, great deals on run flats. You can get new tires for as low as, as low as, people go in there in dump trucks and say, Brian, so I could get new tires. No, he has new tires for as low as $70 a tire. And that's out the door and on the road. Because Friendly Tire in Margate, when Friendly Mike quotes you a price over the phone, that includes everything. He doesn't charge you to mount the tire, balance the tire, or even dispose of your old tires, okay? So incredible deals. There's no reason to be driving on old, bald tires. And the new tires are just, they're so, so low. And when I first found Friendly Tire in Margate, I felt like I had won a prize or the lottery or something. It's absolutely amazing. He also does tire repairs, which other places do not. So he can get tires for any type of vehicle. I see people in there in commercial vehicles a lot that are listeners of ours. I see a lot of people in there in very high-end vehicles, Jags, Porsches, Vets. If you have a Tesla, there's special tools that are needed to install Tesla tires. Friendly Mike's got those. And I also see people in rust buckets. Everybody goes to Friendly Tire in Margate. I bought both new and used tires there. I haven't bought used tires in a long, long time. When I first went there for my Jeep Wrangler years ago, I just assumed that new tires were just out of my budget. And when he gave me a quote on new tires the first time, I couldn't believe how low they were. So give him a call. Here's his number, 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Greg.
Hey, Greg.
Listen, let me ask you this question, okay? First of all, I just want to address Richie quickly. I admire anyone that has a good work ethic. But let me ask you this question and pose it to you. At that, which I enjoyed the cabinet meeting, I watched it, not live, but I watched the tape of it. How many of those people at that table don't have college degrees, law degrees, MBAs? How many?
Oh, they're all college graduates, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And not only probably college grads, and Pam Bondi, by the way, should have been the first pick for Attorney General, not Matt Gaetz, who retired from the, Congress shortly.
But what does that mean? What's the point?
What I mean is, a college education and getting an MBA or a Juris Doctor degree or a medical degree, that affords you opportunities that you can't get. Your whole family, your wife, you and your daughter, are all college graduates.
You look at people. You look at someone as an example. Sean Hannity makes over $50 million a year. He doesn't have a degree.
Guess what? There's an exception to every
there's an exception.
story.
Rush Limbaugh was the same thing. He didn't have a college degree.
But they're entertainers. They're not like
they're entertainers and
they're entertainers.
No,
you're an entertainer.
No,
without a college degree,
this is why I'm losing my patience with you, because you don't shut up. Okay?
I'll let you speak.
Oh, you will. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate how kind of you with your law degree. No, Sean Hannity and Rush also businessmen, and very accomplished businessmen. Okay, not just entertainers. There's a mix. That's why they're so successful, because there's a difference between, when you talk about the cabinet, there's certain degrees that are very productive, but most of them are not. Mostly, I mean, what are these kids learning in school today? That's what I said to the last caller. They're learning to hate America. They're learning to hate Jews. They're learning to hate white people. They're not learning finance. They're not learning accounting. They're not learning the law. They're learning a lot of negative things.
No, listen, if you do your mandatory courses, not your electives, you're learning things to move your career forward. I agree with it. The liberalism that has taken over colleges, when I was in college, no, it wasn't that way. The same with you. Yeah, that's a whole different issue. But at the end of the day,
I give an example of another person. Charlie Kirk didn't go to college.
He's an entertainer.
No, he's not.
Give me someone.
No, he's not an entertainer. He's no, he's not. No.
Oh, by the way, Charlie Kirk is beyond genius level. That guy is amazing. I love him.
Well, he didn't go to college. No college degree.
A talk show that can get viral and have a talk show.
No, he's not an entertainer.
To go to college to do that. But to work for a Fortune 500 company, to have a career in mid-level or upper-level management without a college degree, you're persona non grata. Fact.
That is true.
You don't go to Pfizer and work for Pfizer without a college degree.
Well, you got come on. You got to have an expertise in things. Yeah.
But let me answer this question too. Let's broach another topic. And Richie, you're
only have 5 seconds. Only have 5 seconds. So.
Right. Listen. Your electric vehicle opinion. Remember, you used to bash electric vehicles constantly.
I've never been against them.
No, remember you used to tell us these stories.
Listen, we're out of time. It's the top of the hour. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Hour number 2 has begun. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Call us on hold, stand by. It is open MAGA Mike Friday. Any and everything on your mind's fair game on Friday's show. You're not limited to the topics that we bring up, but I do want to bring up some things, including this idiot Democrat, Hayes, who went on this town hall on CNN and talking about now this is a Democrat who voted with Republicans and voted yes on the Lincoln-Riley Act. Okay, now I'm going to slow down this. You notice you hear a lot from the left now. Well, you know, it's not that we're against deporting these bad people. We're just in favor of due process. All right? In fact, I've had a couple of callers this week mention, a couple of liberal jerks that have called me. Their idea of due process is to keep things in the courts forever and a day. Round and round and round it goes, and it never ends. And it's, oh, well, we'll find another judge, and then we'll go to that judge, and we'll go to this judge. You know what I mean? I mean, come on. But anyway, back to this. This is in CNN Town Hall last night. Wow. Lincoln-Riley Act. Okay, so what she's doing is walking back, voting in favor of the Lincoln-Riley Act. And the Lincoln-Riley Act, you know, people that have been charged with these very violent felonies, rapes, murders, you know, and everything else, you're immediately deported. She regrets that vote. You know, what happened to the Democrats? The Democrats used to stand up for the rights of women against sexual harassment, against rape. And then Bill Clinton started doing it. And then all of a sudden, you know, and I remember, you know, when Bill Clinton was president, and we were talking about it on this program, he was accused of raping women, groping women in the White House, sexually harassing women in the White House, right? And there used to be an organization that you don't hear from anymore. Remember them? Now, National Organization for Women. The National Organization for Women. They used to be on TV all the time. No matter what the issue was, if you turned on the news, you would see a spokesperson from Now. And I remember what Now came out when Bill Clinton was being accused of rapes and sexual harassments and other things going on. The National Organization for Women came out and defended not the women whose lives were being destroyed after they were victimized by President Clinton. They were defending Bill Clinton. And I remember Steve Kane, he said at the time, he says, that's it. National Organization for Women, they're done. Now here we are, many years later. Who are the advocates protecting women? Since Bill Clinton was raping and sexually harassing, they stopped protecting and defending women. It's gotten so bad that it was one thing when they were protecting a Democrat president who was sexually harassing and raping. Now they're just protecting anyone who's in the country illegally who rapes and assaults and does whatever. What has happened to this party? Do they have any adults in the room? When did they become the advocate for rapists? Who in their right mind would argue in favor of the rights of this rapist that murdered Lincoln Riley? Now, he did not rape her. She sacrificed her life preventing herself from being raped. Okay, she fought him to the death and stopped it. But they're defending monsters like that. And you could trace it all back to Bill Clinton and Jennifer Flowers, and Bill Clinton and Juanita Broaddrick, and Bill Clinton and Kathleen Willey, and Bill Clinton and Paula Jones, and Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, and Bill Clinton and Eleanor Mondale, and it goes on. And that's when it began. It's a real sick, twisted party of weirdos and freaks. And they're going to continue to lose and lose again. It's just like Senator Kennedy said, that the Republican strategy with AOC is simple. Operation Let Her Speak. That's right. Just let these Democrats talk. They do themselves in every time. All right, let's go back to the phones. It is, again, Open Mag and Mike Friday. You don't have to talk about anything I bring up, but I wouldn't mind an opinion or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
It's Renee from Harlem.
Hey, Renee, what's up?
Wow, that was good. Well, I was listening to you blather about rapists in the White House, and I wonder how you can forget that the guy you admire so much is a convicted rapist and racist. You know that, right?
I have no idea who or what you're talking about.
You have no idea. That about sums it up.
Nope.
Yeah, because you're that stupid. How could you be that dumb? The white supremacists are just rallying around this racist, and you think it's a great thing. You want to make him king, don't you?
Who?
Trump.
Well, he is the MAGA king.
You want to make him king? I thought so, yeah. I tell you what.
The great MAGA king.
That, and you're going to have a civil war in this country.
Yeah, a civil war. A civil war. That involves that would, give me a break. You're out of your mind. Now, first off, I'll address your stupidity, okay? You said a convicted racist. How does somebody get convicted of being a racist?
No, rapist.
No, he is not a convicted rapist.
He's a convicted rapist.
That's not true. Maybe you should know what you're talking about. Then we'll call. No, that's not true. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Wellington.
Hey, what's up, Wellington?
Yeah, Renee. I don't know where he's coming from with that.
Harlem.
But I mean, if you go to Harlem. If you go to Joe Biden and you watch what his activities were as a human being, just being vice president, sniffing women, touching people in odd places, being as odd and impeculiar as he was, they try to say that Trump's a racist and that he's a racist, he's all these things. But Joe Biden has been one of the most nasty people on the Senate floor for most of his life. And this man, Renee, that just called in and disgraced Trump about what he supposedly did in civil court, and not even mentioning the fact that Joe Biden and his son participated in many things that definitely are questionable when it comes to young people and women and all types of money,
this thing about Lincoln Riley, getting back on track here, I don't know too much about her background, but she was probably a liberal Democrat, right? Young college girl and everything else.
Right.
And, it's like these liberals, they're sacrificing their own people. For what? And this idiot that I just played from the CNN town hall, the whole purpose of her being on that town hall was to apologize for voting in favor of the Lincoln Riley Act. Who apologizes for voting for a law that puts rapists and murderers and deports them when they enter the country illegally? It makes no sense. You have to be a sicko to be against that.
Yeah, well, most Democrats are. They don't really even understand that they're so far twisted with their Trump derangement syndrome that they can't see past it, you know, and I think that's a lot of the problem is that they got hung up so bad and with the media in the background just screaming and you're ranting, you know, it probably didn't make it much easier for them. But, you know, these people are all going to have like whiplash one day from all of the stupidity that they've allowed, you know?
Yeah, I know, it's pretty bad.
And it's gotten to the point now where like these liberals, they just lash out at people. That like the lady in the video with the Tesla driver that was black. I don't know if you've seen that one. She called him a loser and then said, "And you're black and you're driving a Tesla." I mean, it's insane.
What does that even mean? And you're black?
Yeah, it's a loony bin type of scenario, and I mean, in a woke place like Las Vegas, I mean, you don't expect that to happen, and the more deranged these people get, the further away from the center that they go, you know.
Yeah, and I'm glad. By the way, I want to mention, I got a message. I saw this online that there's there are now people staging pro Elon Musk events at Tesla dealerships around the country. Do not go to any of those.
Yep.
Don't do it.
No, they get attacked.
Those first off, that sounds like a setup to me. All right? Do not go to any of these pro Elon Musk events at Tesla dealerships. Okay? Do not go to them. They're setting you up. Okay? This is like a J6 kind of situation. Don't you understand? They want you there so they can try to incite something. Okay? Do not go. Do not go.
Right. I agree. But
I know people aren't going to listen to me, but I'm telling you, do not go. Stay away from them.
They're deranged. So yeah, I wouldn't go to any of that because they're just looking at it like that's an easier target with more things that they can hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky to get out of that protest I went to a couple weeks ago. You know, and they're upset that there's that the other side aren't there, so they're trying to create incidents. And I would not be surprised if these pro Elon events that you're seeing on social media advertised are being pushed by the leftist. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it because it's, you know, they're running out of CIA, they're running out of FBI operatives that they can use, so they got to go grassroots, and that wouldn't surprise me. They try on Facebook. They try on all these platforms to get people into these things. It's insane.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. No, they're very. Listen, they don't have their USA ID to fund them anymore,
Yeah,
so they're looking for other ways. And when they say a pro Tesla, pro Elon Musk march, MAGA, you know, that's very enticing to a lot of people. Stay home, stay away. I'm not going to any of them.
Yep, I agree. I think it's best for MAGA to just keep our mouths closed and watch these people implode.
Yeah, we're winning. We don't need the protest. We're winning. We're in charge.
I think it's been great. And I mean, you know, if people like Greg too don't see the difference between what these people believe and how twisted their mind has been through college. Most of these people that are going to these protests and damaging these vehicles, they're probably young college students.
Well, you know, the thing with Greg, you know, Greg's got a lot of insecurity. So to feel self-important, he brags about his college degree. You know, he probably has his degrees up on the wall for everybody to see. My college degrees are in a filing cabinet somewhere in my house, in a closet somewhere. Okay? I mean, you know, exactly. I mean, come on. You know? I mean, and I worked hard for it. Yeah, and I'm proud that I graduated college. You know, but it's not that big of a deal.
I'll close with this: that you know, most of these colleges they indoctrinate you through the actual books. The books are all corrupted, and they make them buy these books every year. You know, the way that they've gotten such a scam with that. And then
I give you an example of what they do in college. Okay. Now, you guys I've talked. I've got a double major, history and education, so I could teach social studies and such. I remember I had this class, the class was how to teach social studies education, and it was here at Florida Atlantic University, and I I had a professor who was a German immigrant who spent every day. She would tell you that even though her parents were in the war, that they were in the her dad was in the resistance to the Nazis. Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, give me a break. The resist. Yeah, they. I know. But anyway, they brought someone in from this group called Populations Connections, and this from Washington D.C. And keep in mind, this is a classroom of future social studies teachers and me, and they separated us into small groups. This group was Africa. This group was Europe. This group was Asia. And I guess because I was white, I was in the group that was the United States, not North America, but the United States. She had this huge bag of Halloween candy and gave each group candy. My group, being the United States, had the most candy. And it was a lesson plan. And she was, and with the candy, you know what the candy represented? Now, not only did my group, as the United States, have the most candy, we had more candy than all the others combined. What do you think the candy represented?
Food or money?
No, waste. The waste produced.
Waste.
And the United States produces more garbage than everybody else. Is this and the whole lesson plan was anti-American. That's the stuff you learn in college today. How to hate America.
I agree.
So we're not talking about credentials to become an accountant or an attorney. Most people go to college and major in basket weaving. Okay, women's studies, English lit, garbage, and you learn a bunch of liberal. Basically, they're just liberal indoctrination. I mean, I saw that because I'm an adult and I laughed. I knew what was going on, but a lot of people in the class are 20 years old. They don't know what's going on.
Yep, their brains are all mush, like Rush said, and that's exactly how I feel with most of these young kids that go to college for most of their adult life, and then they get into the real world and they're just shocked by everybody that doesn't agree with them.
Exactly. All right, I appreciate the call, Wellington. Take care. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. This is Steve Kane Show. Callers on hold, stand by on this open Mega Mic Friday. You can, on Fridays, of course, it's open phones. You can call in about any and everything on your mind. But I want to talk. President Trump made a huge move this week involving the next presidential election. And when I share it with you, you'll say, oh, yeah, I didn't think of it that way. And I'm talking about Gretchen Whitmer. Now, Gretchen Whitmer, I was very surprised. The other day, President Trump's talking on television, and he looks over and he says something to Gretchen Whitmer, who's completely insane, Gretchen Whitmer. She's the male Newsom, and I'm like, what's that? And then he complimented her. And then Whitmer comes out and praises President Trump. Okay, so here you got Gretchen Whitmer, remember her with the Fauci pillow behind her, right? And she's talking like MAGA on tariffs. She's going through this whole, she's praising the Trump whole economic plan. And then, what do I see? Democrats furious at Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer for meeting with Trump at the White House. Don't you see what he just did here? She's out. There's a good chance that they were planning on her being the running mate with Newsom. She may still run for the Democrat nomination. But that video of her praising the Trump tariffs and his economic policies, that's the end of her. So here we are, not even in the midterms yet, and he's already taken out Democrat candidates for the next presidential election. It is brilliant. And I saw when he was praising Gretchen Whitmer, he said good things. Oh, she's done great work in Michigan. And I thought to myself, what's he talking about? What's Trump up to here? And some MAGA people were giving him a hard time on social media. But like I say, always trust in Trump. He's always so many moves ahead of the rest of us. And then boom, here you got it. Took her out. She's done. She's not going to get their nomination. Now, again, that doesn't mean she's not going to run, but she's not going to get the nomination now. And she's not going to be the running mate of Newsom, at least not in a successful run, because she did what you're not allowed to do as a Democrat. She agreed with Trump. And she's praising Trump economic policies. She's done. It's hilarious. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Man, this is something I think everybody's going to enjoy and find amazing. You had gone to Rush Limbaugh's house a while ago and did a video. All right, his wife, he paid in the '90s $1.8 million for that house, a nice house. His wife just sold it to some billionaire for $100 million. But the same guy bought 5 other houses connecting all of them. He spent over $600 million so he can knock it down and put a mega mansion up.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then he even bought a house across the street for the Intercoastal to put a tennis court up for $22 million. And what gets me is he claims that by coming to Florida and not having a state tax, for all the money he makes all the time, I think he's a hedge fund manager, he's going to wind up saving all that money that he's spending because there's no tax in Florida for no
income. There's no income tax in Florida, correct?
No income tax in so I find that to be totally.
I think it's a shame. I mean, I would like to, Rush Limbaugh's mansion would have been a great museum, a historical landmark. The Kennedy compound is right up the street from Rush's house. They tore that down years ago too and built a new mansion. They tear down these, so we have no Kennedy compound anymore. The land, we have no Rush Limbaugh mansion anymore, but we've got Mar-a-Lago, and that'll be there forever.
Down there, it's all money talks, I guess. So they don't care about history; they just care about how much more tax.
I think President Trump, when 100 years from now, when he passes, I think he's gonna have himself buried at Mar-a-Lago so that it's preserved forever. they'll never be able to touch it because a president's buried there. That's what I would guess.
Hopefully they'll leave Mar-a-Lago alone because even if he's not buried there, but that's a great place. It should be a landmark for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. And the other day, everybody's been talking about the college. I'll weigh in the college again. I think college is certainly way overrated, and people force them to take classes they don't need to take just for an education, so you can get a job. I find it to be
college. And then you're right. The first 2 years of college are basically a redo of high school. So it's basically the same classes. It's not until your third year you begin your major. I agree with you. There's most definitely a scam. Let's take another. I'm behind on the breaks, but let's take a call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Sandra from Delray.
Hey, Sandra.
I just wanted to inform the audience and the public. The IRS has it that there's another tax on billionaires. It's an estate tax, and that's a whopping 50% at a very close level. It's called the estate tax.
Yes.
And there's none in Florida. In addition to the income tax, that's the bigger tax. So that's what they try to avoid, the estate tax.
Well, of course they should. Those estate taxes. Those estate taxes. With the reason Republicans have been against estate taxes, you know why, right? It's not just billionaires that were affected by. Why are you? I'm sure you're against. Are you against estate taxes?
Of course.
Yeah, because they're charged. The government's taxing you twice, right, on the same money. That's why people are against it.
Oh my God! The only thing we have is called a stepped-up in basis when we pass. In other words, if your house you bought it for example, $50,000, and now it's worth $200,000.
Yeah.
We get that stepped up in basis. We could take our beneficiaries could take $200,000, and that's the basis of. So they have no gain or loss.
Yeah.
And the reason why they did that is because it would be included on the estate tax return. But over the history is the estate tax exemption went up so high, it's like $14 million now or something like that.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter, but they try to get us there. It wasn't a gift, but the Democrats at the last election wanted to make it cost basis.
Yeah,
that's right. They don't give us any break.
No
break.
No,
well, now it's still stepped up in basis.
Because the Democrats have been look at all this government money they've been stealing. They got to get that money from somewhere.
I can't believe it.
What do you think that money comes?
I can't believe it.
Right, it comes from all these rackets. All right, I got to run. Thanks for the call. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Callers on hold, stand by. I got a couple DMs from people about something I mentioned a few minutes ago, and I want to mention this is so important. There's a lot of circulation going on about pro-Elon Musk demonstrations for MAGA people at Tesla dealerships in various locations. Do not go to them. This is a honey trap. It's a roach motel. It's a setup. Do not go to them. Okay? And, some people I know are saying, well, you went to one. I went to one by myself, and I told no one other than my wife. Okay? No, I didn't make an announcement on social media or anything. I didn't do it even a live stream. I made a YouTube video that was pre-recorded. I went in and no one knew I was coming. No one knew I was going to be there. And that's how, and I'll never go back. Okay? That video I made at that Tesla dealership in Fort Lauderdale, over 100,000 people, well over 100,000 people have watched that video. So they know me now, these anti-Elon lunatics. Don't you understand? There's the Tesla terrorists are being brought to justice. Pam Bondi said yesterday there's going to be a major Tesla terrorist arrest today. She said within 24 hours. That was at the cabinet meeting yesterday. She told the President of the United States that. So they're looking to stir up trouble. They're looking to pivot. Do not go to them. They are honey traps. I'm here to tell you they are honey traps. And I know some of you, don't go. Don't go. All right? I mean, come on. Have more sense than that. Okay, it is Open MAGA Mike Friday, so let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, good morning.
Yes, you're on the air.
Hello?
You're on the air.
Oh, hey, it's Joan from Tampa Bay. How you doing?
All right, Joan.
With the trade wars and stuff with China.
Uh-huh.
I recently I've been watching the China Observer. These factories cannot, they're backing up on product, so now they're not even having people working. And then they had already ordered more stuff to make their stuff with. So that's all backing up. They have to pay the people, for their raw materials, and they can't produce anything or ship it out because they go on volume, and they can't even make any money on volume with the trade deficit.
Yeah.
Tariff.
Yeah.
So they're laying off workers. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right.
That's all I got.
All right, Joan, take care. Now, there's a couple stories I do want to mention. This was huge. Did you see this lady Space Force colonel that Pete Hegseth fired in Greenland? What a nut. Greenland Space Force commander relieved of command after sending email undermining President Trump. Now, this Space Force lady colonel, she did greet the vice president and his wife when they were there recently. Her name is Susanna Myers, okay? And she, after they left, she sent out an email to every member of her command, which was so bizarre. Listen to what this nutcase sent out in an email. Space Force colonel. Well, she's still in the Space Force. They relieved her of command, but I'm sure they'll be relieving her from the service soon. And she very well may be facing charges or separated with a demotion. Listen to this. Now again, she was the commander of the Space Force base, full colonel. And at least I'm assuming it's full colonel because I don't see lieutenant colonel in any of the stories. She's been relieved of her duties. Listen to this. And she sent this email out to every member of her command. I do not presume to understand current politics, but what I do know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of, I can't pronounce the name of the Greenland base, of Space Base, whatever the name of that particular base is. she wrote in an email, which was communicated to military.com. She goes on, I commit that for as long as I am lucky enough to lead this base, all of our flags will fly proudly together, she wrote. Now, what does she mean, all of our flags? There's the flag. Now, at a Space Force base, you would have the flag of the United States of America and the Space Force flag, I would imagine. What other flag is she talking about? The BLM flag? The rainbow flag? The transgender flag? What flags, plural, is she talking about? I commit that for as long as I am lucky enough to lead this base, all of our flags will fly proudly together. What is she talking about? And she was fired like real quick too, which is a good thing. You know, I mean, there's no getting around that. But yeah, there's another DEI senior officer who's been let go. And if you notice, there's been a lot of high-ranking officers that have been let go, admirals, generals, and now a colonel. And this lady colonel, the arrogance, you know, not a lot of information in this military.com story. What flags is she talking about? And what I'm wondering is, because obviously she came up through the ranks under Biden, okay? And I'm assuming, based on that email, that was an email of apology to the people under her command in her sick, twisted DEI mind. That maybe they took some flags down because Vance was coming to town? Is that what it sounds like to you? Like they have these transgender flags, rainbow flags, BLM flags, and they took down these other flags because Vice President Vance was coming, and that's what it sounds like to me. So I'd like to get some more information on that, and I'm glad this is in the news, but the news are not very competent when it comes to reporting today. Mostly they just copy and paste. They don't ask the questions like I'm asking right now. But if anyone has any more intel on that story, when she says flags plural, what is she talking about? Let me know. I'm very, very curious to know. Our number is toll-free 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Hey, Barry, it's Brian. Great. Hold on. Hey, hold on. If you're on hold, hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show. It's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. How are you today?
Great. What do you have for us this morning?
Well, we're upon more holidays coming up. We
Really?
have the Passover holiday, and then followed by Easter coming up. So it's that time of the year where we get together with family and enjoy our loved ones. And it's one of those times when we gather with our family where a lot of people are thinking about making sure that everything is taken care of, that the people they love are taken care of, and everything's handled. And that's what good estate planning is all about. It's about making sure you have the right estate planning so that everything is handled, everything is taken care of, you're not leaving a mess behind, all the right people are in your estate plan and all the wrong people are not in it, even accidentally, and really having the peace of mind that the people you love are taken care of. And that's what good estate planning is for, and that's why it's not only a good idea to get it done. Many of you may have gotten it done at one point or another, but it's very important to make sure that it gets reviewed and updated from time to time as necessary. We get people who come in, they have decent sized estates and they still have old wills from another state. And that's not going to be an effective plan for them if their goal is to avoid probate and they want everything to run smoothly. So that's what we can help people do at the Siegel Law Group.
Yeah, and both Easter and Passover are those kind of holidays where you can really get a good family census going on, right? Who's married, who's divorced, right? Who's got new grandkids and all of that stuff. And it's a good time to kind of take note if everyone's included that should be included and everything. Listen, it's always a no-charge consultation with the Siegel Law Group if you mention you heard Attorney Barry Siegel on the program. And the Siegel Law Group can help you no matter where you're located in the state of Florida. Give them a call toll-free, 855-FLA-3782. 855-FLA-3782. And online, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk next week.
Thank you, Brian. You have a great weekend.
All right, take care. Yeah, this year my birthday falls on Easter. Kind of exciting. I know. I'm excited. All right, let's go back to the phones on this Open Mega Mike Friday. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Joanne in Tamarack.
Hey, Joanne.
I understand the flag that they're flying is the United States flag and the Danish flag. But that's the United States station. Why it has another country's flag flying, I don't know.
I don't know about that. Where did you see that? That they identified the flag she was referencing?
I Googled it, and what they said was the Danish flag.
No, that's not. No. That is a flag they do fly, possibly. But she was not apologizing about the Danish flag. She was apologizing for just a couple months ago, we had Sleepy Joe in power. I want to know what flags they were flying at that base when Biden was president. And that's the information we don't have.
Yeah, I asked for previously, not right now, but that's what.
No, in fact, you can't trust Google on that one, because one of the things that Pete Hegseth did early on was send out a general order forbidding all these other weirdo flags from flying. And we even got it from the State Department. They can't fly those weirdo flags at the embassies either. So I promise you, in the previous 4 years, they were flying these activist flags. And no one in the press has gotten it. And that's what she was apologizing for. All right, I do appreciate the call. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number, of course, 888-465-2631. Now, this cabinet meeting yesterday is just a beautiful thing, and the transparency of this. I was talking about this in the first hour. I just don't really think it's fully appreciated. We've never seen a cabinet meeting, a real cabinet meeting, take place on television before with any president. We've had photo ops where the cabinet's sitting at the table and they take pictures or video and wave to the cameras, But these are real, and this is the second full cabinet meeting we've seen with Trump in his second term. Okay. These cabinet meetings, these are real full cabinet meetings. And I always wondered what they did in these cabinet meetings, didn't you? I didn't think they did so much. And maybe the other presidents, they didn't. But each member of the cabinet came with a full report. What they've done, what they're doing, and what they're going to do. And each and every one, no matter the department, and some of these departments you never pay too much attention to, like labor, right, are fascinating. So I want to play that. This is our Secretary of Labor who came out with what they found through the great work of Elon Musk and Doge. Okay, I mean, this is astounding, and I promise you that Pam Bondi and her team, that they're investigating where this money is going to. This money is going into accounts and being dispersed to someone, and these are fictitious people. So what's it really paying for? Who's really getting the money? We'll find out. Believe me, we'll find out. Not yet, but we'll find out. And this is what's going on. And you know, we got our budget bill, which is awesome. The big beautiful bill they talk about that they're starting work on already now that they got the budget through, is the tax cuts. Oh boy, how are the Democrats going to argue against tax cuts with things like this being found out every day? They're going to look like, well, it's stupid, but they seem not to mind looking stupid. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, hi, Brian. This is Kelly from Any Lab Test.
Oh, Kelly, I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to put you on hold, Kelly, and I'll take you at the top of the hour. Okay, put you on hold. You caught me off guard. All right, now. Oh, I do want to tell people though about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Okay, now, guys, Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I have lost so much weight. I've stopped weighing myself. I've not weighed myself in about 3 weeks, and I'm just watching now. You know, I don't know, maybe it's different with different people, but I reached my goal real quick. And now what I'm doing to measure my progress is not so much weighing myself, because I know I'm losing weight, is I'm watching just my body change in all these great positive ways. Where I wanted to lose the weight, and I have tried to lose weight in this part of my body in the past without success, that my stomach, gone. In fact, the weight that I am now, I am almost at the weight I was when I got married. And this year will be my 29th wedding anniversary. And I'm almost at that weight. Now I'm thinking, I don't know, this week or maybe next week, I'm going to go out and start buying a new wardrobe, because none of my clothes are fitting me. I don't have any pants that fit. The pants I'm wearing now, I have the belt with all the holes I've added pretty tight. And they're still falling down right now as I'm speaking, you know, and they're being held up a little bit at the bottom, you know. And my shirts, I mean, they all look like I'm wearing my dad's shirts. You know, I'm wearing a shirt now, a T-shirt that I bought not that long ago. It's got Elon Musk on it. I'm wearing a MAGA hat. It says Dark MAGA. This is a new shirt. and it's falling off my body. I mean, it's amazing. And I'm looking forward to going out and buying new clothes. I've been waiting for this for a while, but I think I'm getting to the point where I'm going to get into the maintain phase now. But I have lost so much weight. And those of you that watch me on YouTube, you know, because you've seen. So give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel. The number 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. That's 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, now if you're on hold, stand by. Now, after the top of the hour, we're going to check in with any lab tests now. Steve Kane will be joining us, and we'll go back to our phones. And Friday is always open phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. And on Open MAGA Mike Friday, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind. You're not limited to the topics that we bring up. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Now, one last thing I want to mention before the top of the hour. This is from Ashley Moody, who's our new senator here from Florida. She was our attorney general. She just got appointed to finish out Marco's term by DeSantis. And there's a lot of talk about the deportation of these foreign agitators at the universities. She brought up something I've never heard before. This is Senator Ashley Moody from Florida. Wow, I mean, this is news to me that every Chinese national, no matter where they are in the world, on a student visa is duty-bound to spy and report intelligence back to China if they want to return to China. This is crazy. So how many of these spies do we have in the country? And how long has this been going on? Maybe it's always been going on. I don't know. We're in a new era in this country that is an era that I don't think anybody could have imagined that we could ever have been in. This country has been under attack in so many ways, not just the southern border. We've been under economic attack from our Washington insiders that have just been stealing from the Treasury, like we were talking about a few minutes ago with those unemployment benefits. They've been allowing these revolutionary spies in our universities to support terrorism. They're allowing CCP spies in all of our universities nationwide to spy on us. How our country has been held together, I have no idea. But, you know, when you look at what President Trump has brought in, this new era, and these things that he's exposing and correcting everywhere, he saved this country in more ways than we are ever going to really truly feel and appreciate, because so much is happening. You can't even soak one of these things up, and then the next day you find out about two more things that have been going on, right? Boy, oh boy, pretty scary stuff. All right, 2 hours down, 1 to go. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. My name's Brian Craig. This is The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be back with the third and final hour of the week after this. Steve Kane Show. Hey Kelly, I'm sorry. I'm going to put you on hold, and then next time we talk, we'll be on the air coming out of the break. Okay? I hit the wrong button. I know. I hit the wrong button. It'll work this time. Okay, hold on. Hey, you there? Okay, I'm going to put you on hold and then pick you up on the speaker, but we're going to open up, we're going to do a call-in today from Any Lab Test Now, okay? So, okay, hold on a minute. All right, you there, Steve?
I sure am.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm going to conference her in. Hold on. Kelly, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, we're not on the air quite yet. We'll be back in 2 minutes, okay? So just stand by. Okay.
No problem.
Okay. Yeah, 90 seconds. We'll be live.
No problem.
Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, 10 seconds. Stand by.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. And Steve is here with us. And on the line, for the first time, Kelly from Any Lab Test Now. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good, good, good. So what do you have for us this morning?
Yeah, I just wanted to share, I know you share some of our information of what we do here at the lab, but I also wanted to share that we are also doing vitamin injections, so B12 and other vitamin like vitamin D and C, and I know it's become really popular these days.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to kind of share. And also, we just found out actually, medically speaking, they've done some tests and they basically figured out that vitamin B is the only thing that can delay Alzheimer's and dementia. So there's a lot of properties with vitamins that they're coming to find out that can help you in your older age. So that's kind of interesting outside of people, loving it to lose weight, to get energy, help their mental health. It also helps you as you get older.
Yeah, in fact, that one for dementia and Alzheimer's, maybe I'll double up on that one. Now, can you tell people where you're located?
Yes, so we're located in Coral Springs, and we're located in Boca, in the Sandalwood Plaza, and then Coral Springs by the mall on University Drive.
Yeah, and I'm a big user of Any Lab Test Now. Now, the West Boca location is south of Palmetto and north of Hillsborough on the east side of 441 in the Sandalwood Plaza. The Coral Springs location of Any Lab Test Now is located over by the Coral Square Mall, right across from the mall location of Wings Plus, over on University in Ramblewood. And the vitamin injections and everything are spectacular. I've had most of them. But, one of the things I like about Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Any Lab Test Now of Coral Springs is it saves me a lot of time on doctor's visits, because if I need any lab test, I don't have to go make an appointment and wait in a doctor's office and spend half the day. I could just walk in, no appointments necessary, and boom, get my test, and I get the results emailed to me the next day. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Coral Springs will send the results directly to your doctor as well. And that's how I operate. Well, Kelly, it's good to hear from you. Thanks so much, and guys, take advantage.
Thank you so much, Brian.
All right, take care. We'll talk
have a
soon.
great day.
You
Thank
too.
you.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you. Bye-bye.
All right, yeah. And I got to mention, Steve, there's lots of Any Lab Test Nows, but only Any Lab Test Now of Boca and Coral Springs are advertising on our radio stations. Okay, so don't use the rest. Just use those two guys. Okay. All right. Well, we got the budget passed, Steve. You were worried about that yesterday.
Yes.
See,
We're making history today.
oh my goodness, I know it's.
The wild and crazy guy.
You know, I wanted to bring this up because I opened the show with this at 6, and it seems so trivial, but it's one of those things that just makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. You know, these idiotic liberal talking points, and I really saw this yesterday. I watched The Five a little bit with that idiot Jessica Charloff, and she got smacked down by Jesse Waters on that. The liberals are obsessed for the last 24 hours with bonds. All of a sudden, the bond market this, the bond market that. The Japanese are selling the bonds. The bond market's, it was eggs, then it was tariffs, now it's bond. They don't even know what they're talking about.
They're hysterical.
They're so hysterical, they can't even get a half intelligent talking point together. But first off, nobody knows anything about bonds. No one. The only thing I know about bonds is that's like what Grandma and Grandpa give the grandkids, right? At Christmas, you get the bond, they give a bond. I don't know. No, I haven't heard anybody mention bonds in years, and I don't know if I've ever heard them mentioned in the context of international economics.
Are they still pushing that today? That thing of the insider trading or whatever?
Yeah, the bonds. Yes, yeah, they're still pushing. They're pushing the bonds, and they want to investigate the Trump administration to see if their stocks went up. Well, of course their stocks went up. Everybody's went up, and I was reading this morning. You'll think this is what I'm about to say is a joke, but it's not. The Art of the Deal is about to hit the bestseller list again, at least on Amazon. Copies of The Art of the Deal are selling like hotcakes on Amazon. And, of course, that's President Trump's signature book. And I have 2 copies of it. I read it again a couple months ago. It's a great book. Everybody should read it. But obviously, he's making money on The Art of the Deal right now because the sales are through the roof. I expect Adam Schiff to come out and say they're launching an investigation as to whether or not Trump is manipulating the Art of the Deal book sales.
Well, you know what's coming next. What's coming next is impeachment. That's their go-to theme.
Oh, they'll start using the word. Yeah. Well, good luck when they're in the minority. Yeah. You know, they're in big trouble because yesterday, after the House passed the budget, Mike Johnson said, now we can start working on the big, beautiful bill. And they have all the committees working. The big, beautiful bill is the bill with the tax cuts. No tax on tips, overtime, Social Security, all that stuff. Okay?
Once again, they're on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of the issue.
Yeah. Well, they've always... when have Democrats not been on the wrong side? They used to own black people, right? You know? So they've never been on the right side of anything, right? But the tax bill, this is going to be beautiful. Because how are they going to come out and argue against that? Really, how are they going to argue against? These are the no tax on tips. The people that are tip workers never get tax breaks. So this is the first tax break for that group of people maybe in history. And with all this government waste that Elon Musk at Doge has exposed, they're going to have a very hard time mounting any type of argument against a tax bill.
I love it. Talk about insider trading. The Democratic Party, headed by Nancy Pelosi, is the ultimate one when it comes to insider trading. So once again, they're stuck with the hypocrisy award.
Yeah, and what they do is they go and find some company that's worth nothing, right? Then the stock is 10 cents a stock, right? And then what do? They go out and buy a bunch of stock in it for 10 cents a share, and then they pass federal legislation giving that company business. So now it's worth $50 a share that they paid 10 cents for. It's criminal what they've been doing. Yeah, I know. Well, those days are over. Those days are, one of the greatest services Doge is giving us is making this tax bill even easier to pass.
Exactly right.
Because, if you go back to past tax cut bills, Democrats have a talking point when they're opposing tax bills. Well, we're all against taxes, but how are you going to pay for it? That's their big talking point. We're all for taxes, but how are you going to, there's no way to pay for it. The Republicans want to give all these tax cuts, but they have no way to pay for it.
Well, we have an answer to that now.
Yeah, it's called Doge. Right,
Yes,
exactly. I mean, my God. So, and one thing about Democrats, they never get new talking points. So they're going to really be at a loss with this next go around. Now, if you're on, well, let's take a call before we break. What the heck? Hold on, let's just take a call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you're out of luck. Sorry about that. Oh, this weekend, I think if I don't do it this weekend, I'll do it next week. I got to go out and buy pretty much all new clothes, Steve. I don't have any pants that fit me anymore. I've run out of room on my belt to make holes. I mean, my belt is going almost around my waist again. I mean, it's ridiculous. I've lost so much weight thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And I think I'm getting to the point now where I'm going to go into the maintain phase. I weigh almost what I did when I got married 29 years ago. So, I mean, what am I going to do? Go back to my teenage years? I'll be there soon if I keep losing weight. So I was talking to Coastal Weight Loss Secret the other day, and they said, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep losing? Do you want to get into the maintain phase? And I said, well, let me wait until after our cruise. And not only did I not gain weight on the cruise, I lost weight. And we've been back almost a week now, and I've lost more weight. And I'm wearing this T-shirt, Steve. It's hanging off my body. It looks like a jersey, instead of a T-shirt. And I bought this shirt just a couple months ago, and it was like form-fitting. And now it's loose and falling off my body. So I'll be buying a new wardrobe either this weekend, or I might wait one more week and lose a few more pounds just for some, just for the fun of it. But I haven't weighed I haven't weighed myself in about 3 weeks, and at first I was okay. I was losing a pound and a half a day and all that stuff. And then when I started to see the transformation in my body, I started looking at that. And this morning, when I got up and I got out of the shower and I'm brushing my teeth and everything, and I saw my naked body in front of the bathroom mirror, my stomach is completely flat. And the most difficult thing to lose when you get older is that belly fat. My stomach is completely flat now. I haven't looked like this since, like I say, I got married. So give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. You can do the same thing, no matter how much you're looking to lose, whether it's 20 pounds or 100 pounds or even more. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. When you call, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, all right? 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. Steve, you there?
I am.
All right, hold on. Okay, 1 minute. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane is here. Our number 1-888-465-2631. All right, to the phones we go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Louise from Delaware. Good morning, Brian and Steve.
Hey, Louise. How are you?
Hi. I'm doing okay. I'm simply calling because after watching that clip you just showed, Brian,
Which one?
it made me remember about this infiltration of the Chinese government into our university system.
Oh, yes.
Several years ago, there was a big to-do here where I live. I live in a university town, unfortunately, and there was a big to-do about this thing called the Confucius Institute. Now, if anybody has not heard of this, they should look into it in their state. Apparently, and I don't know if it's totally true, our university got rid of the program, but I don't know. So I just think people should be aware that this is throughout the country, and all you have to do is look it up. It tells you what their program is and what their
Well, what the caller's talking about for people who are just tuning in the last hour, Moody, who's the Florida senator that replaced Marco Rubio, she broke to me something I did not know, that China, all these Chinese students that are here in the United States on student visas, if to return to China, China has a law requiring all of their students in countries around the world to spy and report intelligence back home to China, or they can't return home. So all these Chinese students are spies for the CCP. Every one of them. I never heard this before. It's news to me.
Well, look into the Chinese, the Confucius Institute.
All right.
You'll be shocked.
Okay, I'll look into it. And I appreciate the call. And these are the kind of things that we're learning about now that we never knew about before. That there's just all kinds of things where this country's been under attack, and I don't know. I feel like the whole country, we've been in a coma. You know what I mean? Right?
What's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, as Saturday, we'll probably sleep in a little bit, but no, I know what you mean.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
For what?
The deadline that we've given, that Donald has given the Chinese to turn over the keys to their operation.
Oh no, it's going to get worse. They're not going to budge yet. It was reported today. I saw this morning that Trump has told his people not to call the Chinese, to wait for their call. So both sides are waiting for the call from the other side. You know what I mean? These negotiations. Whoever makes the calls in the weakened position or so. So that's kind of where we are right now. No, so they'll probably just do another increase, China.
Well,
what happens to the ultimatum that Trump has given the Chinese that they've got to turn over the keys to their nuclear operation by tomorrow?
Oh, you mean Iran? You mean
Yeah.
Iran? Oh, oh no.
Yes.
Oh, that's not going to happen. No, they're going to the negotiations tomorrow. I don't know. Is the deadline tomorrow that they got to let the people, the inspectors in? I don't know about that. I know they're having a summit meeting tomorrow with Iran.
I don't figure the Iranians are going to let us in to inspect. Do you?
No, I don't. Now this may not be the conventional thinking, but I don't think they're anywhere close to a nuclear weapon. I have been hearing for like 15 years that they were close to a nuclear weapon. I think it's a bluff.
Well, it's a bluff. It's a good one.
Yeah, there may not be anything to show. I mean, I've been hearing about. I remember hearing about.
What is the price of being wrong?
Oh no. I agree with that. But when George W. Bush was president, I was hearing about the Iran nuclear weapon. Right? I mean,
But you can rest assured they've been working on it ever since.
Yeah, but I don't think they got it. I don't think. First off, if they had it, do they have the restraint not to have used it? I mean, they're attacking people all the time and backing all of this terrorism.
The unnerving fact is we don't know, and that's the scary part.
Yeah, that's true. No, Iran will eventually cave. I thought you meant China. No, Iran will eventually cave. They'll all cave. They're going to have to. I mean, look, yesterday you thought we were going to have a problem with the budget, and that was like a non-event yesterday. Turn on the news, oh, it's done. Budget passed. It wasn't even a controversy yesterday. There's never been a president this powerful and this influential. Just snaps his fingers and gets everything. That's why I was telling you guys, people that are critical of Trump on anything, beware. You're never going to have another president like this. There'll be other MAGA presidents. We'll have other Republicans, and they'll be good and all that. There's never going to be someone that has the mandate and the power that Trump has. Not for us. It's just not going to happen. I mean, this is like FDR New Deal time, right? He just came through, got the whole New Deal through.
There's no question of that.
Yeah. So don't be critical. Enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward today. A big story today will because in that great cabinet meeting yesterday, Pam Bondi promised a major Tesla terrorist arrest today. She told Trump. So I'm expecting that anytime today after 9 o'clock. They like to time things after 9 a.m. because they don't want to interrupt the program. But that's big. The Tesla terrorist is a big story. Because if this Tesla terrorism were going on and anyone else was in the White House, nothing would be done. It would be allowed to continue, and no one would do a thing about it. And that's a reality. You already look at the.
That's true.
The other day, Schumer was asked in getting in an elevator at the Senate, will you condemn the Tesla violence? And he wouldn't do it. He says I can't comment on Tesla, but Elon Musk is a terrible person. I mean, in what world as a sitting United States senator is he unable to say, I am opposed to the firebombing of car dealerships? He couldn't even say that. So you've got the Democrats, they view these Tesla terrorists as their base. It's like that killer of the pharmaceutical CEO, the healthcare CEO that got assassinated. It's like the Democrats are supporting that murderer. They're supporting the Tesla terrorist. And
Luigi.
It's Luigi. Yeah, they support Luigi. They support the Tesla terrorist. I mean, there's some things that are nonpartisan, where you can reach across the aisle. And one of those is you can reach across the aisle in unity and say we are opposed to the firebombing of car dealerships, but not Charles Schumer and not the Democrats. So we're in an era where we have never quite been before. Now, all this talk about bonds and the Dow up and the Dow down, I don't worry about any of that stuff. And you don't have to either, because if you call Joe Thomas, talk to him about annuities, you never have to worry about these things, because with an annuity, your money's always safe, no matter what the ups and downs of the markets are. And he's offering free phone consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located. I'll give you his number in just a moment, and he'll put together a custom proposal based on you and your situation. He'll tell you how you can turn your money into guaranteed income for the rest of your life. All right, 561 743 0999. 561 743 0999. That's 561 743 0999. And if you missed the number, you can always get it easily on his website. It's easy to remember, JupiterJoe.com. That's JupiterJoe.com. All right, we'll be back with your calls after this. Steve, you there?
I'm here.
All right, hold on. We got about 1 minute.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. Steve here, and let's... Yep, go ahead, Steve.
I'm with you.
Okay, let's go. All right, back to the calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. This is Victor from the cruise.
Oh, hey, Victor. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? My wife and I had such a great time. This was our first cruise that we actually booked 2 more cruises with Ian. We booked next year's MAGA cruise already, and also another cruise in August. We've become cruisers. We've never done a cruise. We had such a great time. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I was Thurston.
Yes,
the comedy show.
I know who you are. I know who you are. The stand-up comic took a little jab at you, but she was.
Yeah, that was all good. We had a blast.
Yeah, we had a great
by the way,
time.
You're spot on with the tariffs and the Doge cuts, because the taxes, we need to pass the tax cuts, and the Democrats are always going to say, how are you going to pay for it? And part of it's going to be the Doge cuts, and I think the other part is the tariffs, the extra revenue we're getting in tariffs. And the countries that dumped the bonds the day before, in part that's retaliatory, I think, but also they have to pay the tariffs. So
That's
they
right.
sell the bonds extra.
People sell bonds.
This is a very well coordinated plan that I think Trump and his team are doing.
Typically, people sell bonds when they need the money. Those are things you normally would hold on to until they're full. Yeah, so that you're exactly right about that. Yeah, they needed money for the tariffs, so they had to sell the bonds. That's exactly right. That's some good analysis. Well, it was good to see you on the cruise, and we had a good time.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
All right, take care. Yeah, we got a great group of people on our cruise, I tell you. By the way, the next cruise, we're going to Antigua, is, I call it the 2019 pricing. The prices are so low, it's like what cruises cost. Think about this. You're getting 2019 prices for a 2026 cruise, guys. So call Ian and book on the next one. All right, let's take another call here. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you lost out. All right, let me try another one here. We'll take one at random. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. My name is Steve. I'm from Montgomery County, near Philadelphia.
All right.
And I called in a few times. I haven't called in a while. But I wanted to touch base with you. First of all, I missed you when you were away for last weekend on the cruise.
Yeah.
I really look forward to your show every morning. And you're a very positive guy. And, I like that. I like that a lot.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I know it's open call Friday, and I wanted to share something with you.
Here we go. That was the setup.
I'm 7 years old. I'm 7. Your daughter is 26, and she and I have something in common. She and I were both adopted.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and thank God your daughter was adopted by a conservative family, by you and Kathy.
Yes.
Because, I'm sure, I don't know if you ever think about it, but God forbid, she could have been adopted by a liberal family, and
oh my goodness.
You know what that means.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's like abuse.
But,
that's child abuse. Liberal parenting.
Absolutely. And, the one thing I encountered, and I don't know if your daughter ever encountered it, but I was 13 when I found out I was adopted. My parents waited right before my bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
I happen to be Jewish.
Yeah.
I called before. I remember I was so excited. I liked it. I thought it was really neat. And I remember telling my friends, hey, I was adopted. And you know what? The first thing they would say is, did you ever wonder who your real parents are? And I said, of course I know who my real parents are. I just don't know who my biological parents are.
Yeah.
And I don't know if your daughter ever encountered that, but
yeah, people ask that kind of stuff people ask that stuff, but she knew right away because it's we don't match.
Well, yeah, right, of course. And with me, I never knew the difference.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
so
I just thought I'd share that story with you.
Well, I appreciate
also,
it. Yeah. Oh, and one more thing. Yeah, go ahead. One more thing.
Never mind. I can't even remember. I can't even recall it right
That's
now.
okay.
What I was going to say,
Well,
but-
you're better. You're better than half the callers today. Just by that. All right. Take care. Appreciate the. Yeah. We don't talk about adoption so much anymore, Steve. We used to talk about it a lot more.
Used to be a major topic on the show.
Well, there's so few abortions now. Trump overturned Roe v. Wade. Planned Parenthood clinics went the way of Blockbuster Video. And
I think the abortion debate finally ran its course.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously they still sadly happen, but nowhere near like how they used to be. And there's also not an obsession on the left promoting them all the time anymore. It was when Trump overturned Roe v. Wade with that Supreme Court ruling. I was shocked at how little protest there was. I always thought, well, first off, who would have thought Roe v. Wade ever would have been overturned, right, in the first place? Who would have ever imagined? I would have thought it was impossible, but, Trump did it. But I assumed that there would have been nationwide protest against it, and there really wasn't. Not even the women in those Handmaid's Tale costumes in D.C. that are obsessed with it. There was very little liberal protest about Roe v. Wade. And you don't even hear them talking about, well, let's bring back Roe v. Wade, right? You don't even hear that anymore. It's complete. That's how, the country, I think, has always been this conservative. But with the shutdown of USAID, they don't have the juice to promote false narratives anymore, right? Like at the beginning of the week, as an example, I was talking about Michelle Obama's podcast, which has, this is, you know how her podcast is failing, Steve? Have you heard this story? Michelle Obama?
No, I don't
Yeah,
think so.
she has a podcast with her brother, who's a real strange
you're
guy.
talking about the disaster.
Yeah, there are actually fewer people listening to Michelle Obama's podcast than to the Joyce Kaufman Radio Show. It's crazy. So Joyce is...
That's hard to match.
Yeah. And, the thing about the Michelle Obama podcast, this is a textbook example of what I'm talking about. The thing about the Michelle Obama podcast is this. We've been hearing for years, oh, she's so popular that if Michelle decided to run, it would be over. She's so popular. Her podcast comes out. No one's interested in hearing what she has to say. And the reason that is because she was never popular. And since Doge shut down USAID, they don't have their money and mechanism in place to artificially inflate things. If it were not for Doge and USAID still existed, Michelle Obama's podcast would be the #1 most listened to podcast in the world. It would, because they would pay for all the phony bot downloads. It would have more listeners than Joe Rogan, who's #1 and has been the last few years. And what we're seeing now is Michelle Obama's true popularity, and people don't like her. I listened to the first episode, Steve, and this is not an exaggeration. She's less likable than listening to Hillary Clinton. And
everything runs its course. You definitely got to say that about the Democrats.
Oh.
They've had their day in the sun. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares.
No, and this is something that AOC and Bernie Sanders are planning on running together for president. You can tell. They're on this nationwide tour together. And even they can't get anything going because they don't have USAID pushing these false media narratives online of how popular they are. Okay? Just like Michelle Obama. We're seeing for the first time how unpopular these liberals really are. Now, I want to talk about the free doorbell camera offer from Sloman's. This is an amazing thing, all right? You can get a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Anytime there is movement at the front of your house, you get a notification and you can look at it right on your phone, no matter where you're located. If you're in the kitchen, you're in the backyard, you're at Publix, you're at the mall, or you're on vacation in Italy, you'll get a notification and you can see right on your phone, right there, and it's great. Obviously it's a great part of your home security system, but it's also incredibly convenient. Imagine never having to get up to answer the door ever again, unless you really want to. Sloman's, they're also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts for your doors and windows, a lifetime warranty, plus a backup battery. And you'll get that free doorbell camera with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call. This is the easiest number in the world to remember. 1-800-ALARM-ME. 1-800-ALARM-ME. That's 1-800-ALARM-ME. All right, we're going to take our last break of the week. And if it is Open MAGA Mike Friday, you're welcome to call in about any and everything on your mind today. So we got the last segment. If you'd like to get on in the last segment, please do. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I'm Brian Craig. Steve Kane, of course, is here. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. We'll take our break and be right back. Hey, hold on. Steve, you there?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to conference William in. Hold on. All right, William, we're not back yet. We'll be back shortly, so stand by.
Okay.
Okay. $40 seconds. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with our final gold and precious metals report of the week. William Youngerman, how the metals ending out the week?
Amazing, Brian. We have already captured my year prediction for 2025. We're already there, and over $3,200 for gold. Yesterday we saw gold gain $93.20, trading in the range of $3,115 up to $3,177, and closing near the highs of the day at $3,175.20 the ounce. As I said, up $93.20. Silver gaining 16 cents at $31.16. Platinum was up $1 at $9.32, and palladium was down $9, closing out the day at $900. Overnight, we saw the gold trade in a range of $3,175 all the way up to $3,236. That means that in the last 3 days, we've gained over $250 for the price of gold.
Crazy.
So gold this morning up $54.80. That's at $3,230 the ounce, which was right at my prediction for the year. So we're already there. Silver up 19 cents at $31.35 the ounce. Silver is way behind gold, over 100 to 1 ratio. and probably should be a great buying opportunity with gold at these levels. Silver should be catching back up to that $34 or $35 number that we saw previously this month.
Yeah.
Gold, platinum up $9 at $941, and palladium up $8 at $908. So gold, $3,230, Brian.
What's the base now with gold? It's so high, is it?
Yeah, $3,000 is probably going to be the base now for gold. I mean, we went down and tested and broke down a little bit below $3,000 earlier this week and last week, and it's just come back with a vengeance.
That's amazing.
There's just no stopping it, and it's not acting like it's going to do anything but go much, much higher.
Yeah, and guys, if you have anything that's made of the metals, this is a time to turn it into money or turn it into gold coins or silver bullion if you want to. But if you've got any old jewelry, broken, ugly, out of date, anything made of the metals, there's never been a time like this to take it in the William Youngerman's and turn it into money. William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in at his shop in Boca at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. Or give him a call toll-free, 1-800-327-5010. Now remember, you can do all of your transactions over the phone and through the mail with William Youngerman as well, no matter where you are located in the world. 1-800-327-5010. And find both his address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William, we'll talk next week.
Okay, have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Oh, my goodness, Steve. These are crazy numbers.
Unbelievable.
Over 30.
Reminds me of remember the first time we went to William Youngerman?
Yeah, I know you like to humiliate me by bringing that up every day. But yeah, I know. Yes, it was pretty amazing. So, listen, this week, you look at what's happened this week. More has happened. Oh, one thing we haven't even mentioned is we're taking the Panama Canal back. It's done.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth, and if you watch what happened with Pete Hegseth, at the beginning of the week, he went down to Panama, he made a speech and says, we're taking the canal back. We can't let China have it. And then yesterday, he tells President Trump in the cabinet meeting, oh yeah, we came to an agreement with Panama. We're kicking China out. So Panama made an agreement with Pete Hegseth down there, so we got the canal back. I don't know if the news just can't keep up or if they're not reporting these things on purpose. I don't know, Steve. Because
these are things that were born in the mind of Donald Trump and that he is pinned to the table with from the beginning of this news cycle. This is pure Trump from beginning to end. And he's the only one that, the impression I get is he's the only one who's in charge of it.
Well,
I don't think the Chinese know what they're doing.
Did you watch this, the cabinet meeting yesterday?
No.
Oh, it was like 3 hours long. It was beautiful, right? Every cabinet member reports to President Trump. It's live on TV. What they've done, what they're doing, and what they're going to do. And it was amazing, all kinds of incredible stuff. And then after 2.5 hours of that, Trump starts taking questions from the press in there. And
now that I know what you're talking about, yes, I did see it.
Yeah, that was the cabinet meeting.
In its entirety. It's amazing.
It was amazing.
It's amazing.
And then they thought they got him. So the stock market was down a little bit from the opening. So a reporter says, any comment on the stock market? And Trump says, well, I haven't looked at it yet. I've been in here for 2.5 hours in this meeting. But then he goes over to the openly gay Treasury Secretary. And he says, well, you stepped out and took a look. Do you have any comments? And the guy had such a great answer. He said, yesterday we were up 10. Today we're down 5. We're still ahead. What's the problem? And I thought, well, that's a good answer. I never would have thought that was a great answer. And one of the things too yesterday, Bobby Kennedy, and this tells me that they already know what it is, but they got to get all the T's crossed and I's dotted and all that stuff. He said in 6 months, it may even been less than 6 months. I can't remember the exact timeline, but 6 months popped in my head. they're going to announce from Health and Human Services why there's such an increase in ADHD in this country. And there's something. There's a thing. What it is, we don't know yet because Bobby Kennedy hasn't announced it yet. I think they know. They just have to finish all the research. But I don't know if there's a food, a substance, a chemical. There's something. I mean, you know, it really shows you how much the government can get done. Really. If they set their mind to it. I don't know what these other presidents did all day in their cabinets.
Really.
I mean, what did they do? Just dilly-dally around and steal money?
Biden, that was a full-time job.
You know, and when this and Trump said, "Oh, that autism press conference, that's going to be a big press con. It'll be a big one," and that is going to be so because there obviously is a problem. When I was a kid, I never heard of autism. That was something I started hearing as an adult, and you hear about it all the time. And at first, I thought, well, maybe there's just a lot of diagnosis we weren't getting, but it's obviously not that. There's something going on, you know, and you know. When you look at everything that they've been exposing from the government, you know, we've been focused on the southern border, you know, for so long. And that's not that that's not important, but we've been attacked, this country and the American people. We have been under nonstop attack from every aspect of our government and every aspect of our lives. Southern border, these Chinese students, these terrorist supporting students, the ripoff. I mean, I couldn't believe there was the story at the beginning of the week of the billions of dollars that the Biden regime spent on remodeling the offices that nobody was showing up to work at. You know, I mean, just, you know, this story yesterday with the labor secretary, with the hundreds of billions of dollars that's been stolen from the unemployment benefits from people that aren't even born yet. Are getting paid.
Yeah, they've been using their personal piggy bank from the beginning of time, it seems.
It seems so. It seems so. And I mean, we knew it was bad, you know. And in the first term,
I didn't know it was this bad.
No, exactly. You know, in the first term, Trump spent a lot of time. You don't hear this phrase right now, but used to draining the swamp. That's what's going on right now. Draining the swamp. Right, draining the swamp. And when we were gone last week, I was following the news, and there was an obsession in the news that Elon Musk was out with Trump. He was out with he was in that cabinet meeting yesterday and was commenting, and different members of the cabinet were crediting Elon Musk and Doge for different things that they found. So I'm sorry to tell you guys, Elon Musk is not out. Doge is not out. He's very much still involved. I'm sorry to tell you. You know, you can keep reporting that and obsessing over it and do all your manifesting and wishing that it would happen, but it's not happening. But what's going on here, this is old-fashioned swamp draining. And not only is it major swamp draining, okay, I mean, they've only just begun because, like as an example, these hundreds of millions of dollars that they found in the unemployment benefits, these are payments that were being paid out. So those were going into accounts somewhere, and people have been taking the money out of those accounts. I promise you, Pam Bondi and her team, they have forensic investigators looking into those accounts. Where's that money been going? It's been going somewhere. You know, these fraudulent payments to people that have not been born yet for unemployment benefits, that's not an accounting error. That is something that they've been doing by design for a purpose. A lot of these things are, and it's not all just paying off Congress people. Okay, there's something more devious going on here because there's too many of these fraudulent payments going out to individuals. There's something bigger in play that I don't think we're familiar with yet, and I don't know if they've gotten to the bottom of it yet. I mean, there's a lot going on, but there's.
But isn't that a scary thought?
Yeah. I know a lot of people are saying, well, this is how they were paying the illegals. No, there's something, there's a bigger mystery here, because out of all of these payments for the different, whether it's Social Security or unemployment, all these fraudulent payments, they've exposed the payments, but they've not yet made public where the money was going. Okay? Well, listen, we're running down out of time for the week, and I'm sorry we didn't get to a lot of calls in this hour. Those of you who want to hold my apologies, but we will be back on Monday. We've had a lot of great calls today, and it's been a great week. It's our first week back from our trip, and it's really flown by. But we will be back Monday morning at 6 a.m., and 10 million stories will have broken between now and then. I mean, the news cycle it's just a constant wheel.
Keep your eye on Iran over the weekend.
Oh, Iran, I'm not worried about anything. I mean, when you see everything that Trump's been doing.
Well, okay.
No, I don't. I'm not worried about Iran. I mean, it's just everything is just going so well. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio. I'm Brian. Steve Kane's here. Starting on Monday, I'll be talking more about this. Mike Lindell has a new energy drink, Steve. No caffeine, no sugar. And
all right.
So we're going to be launching that discussion on Monday. But you can go and get Mike Lindell's energy drink for 30% off with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, at mypillow.com. I ordered a case of it for myself yesterday, and I got a multi-pack so I could find out which one of the many flavors is my favorite. But so we'll start talking about that next week. All right, it's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. Take care, everyone. We'll see you Monday morning at 6 a.m. All right, and we are clear. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe. All right? Take care, everyone. I will have a new podcast up later today, too, so don't miss